let's talk about the state of Raid Shadow Legends here in June, almost July of 2025. Guys, we're almost halfway through the year. We've had a lot of pretty neat events going on in the game. I think it's time to do like a state of the game analysis. Let's go through every area of the game to see what is good, what could be improved, and maybe search for some explanations about some of these statistics that we've been seeing, because interest in Raid Shadow Legends is at an all-time low. So if you're watching this video, thanks for watching, and let me know why you're still interested in Raid Shadow Legends in the comments below. Alright, so first of all, daily login rewards. I don't really think there's anything that needs to be changed here. We get a little goodie. Every single day we log in, we get some free legendary champions, some of which are cool, some of which are not. We get some cool epic champions. You know, there's High Katoon, which a lot of people feed, and you shouldn't. You don't feed your High Katoon, guys, if you haven't already. Yaga the Insatiable is pretty terrible. Dark Aethel's pretty terrible. Dark Hellene, though, is pretty good in Arena and Cursed City, with her synergy removing freezes and stuff. You can get free sacred shards from these. You can get Sill of the Drakes, who has a passive heal, who heals by 10% of everybody's max HP at the start of each of her turns. Tanex Hate Flower can be good in faction wars. Of course, the highlight is Visix the Unbowed, provoke, decrease speed, allied protection, turn meter reduction, all that kind of stuff. I think some of these rewards could be a lot more generous. Like, you know, if you're on the fragments or whatever, we're on Lady Aresh right now, right? All right, I think it shouldn't take as long as it does to get these champions when you know, progress past you get a champion a month into the champion fragments. However, they are very good for CVC points and champion chases and all that kind of stuff. I also feel like they could put a Sacred Shard in here, but I don't think it needs any sort of super duper rework. Player promo codes. Promo codes definitely need a rework, guys. We get like one of these every 6 months, and it gives us 20 multi-battles and an energy refill. I feel like they could be a little more generous. Guys, like, Plarium, make us want to play your game. That's kind of the point of having a game that makes money, right? Like, we gotta want to play it, and if you're giving us crappy stuff, I mean, what's the point of playing? We might as well go direct our attention to another game, right? Progression rewards, I feel like these could be a little more generous as well. I don't think you really need rare skill tomes by the time you hit level 50, but you know, that's a pretty minor complaint. I like the fact that we can get sacreds and voids and Lego books and all that kind of stuff, so no high complaint there. Missions are always good. We get very solid champs from our missions, right? We get Marius the Gallant. He's like the ultimate prize, right? Triple hit, max HP on his A2, increased accuracy and decreased defense, immune to turn meter reduction and decreased speed, counter attacks with enfeeble. Very simple kit, very solid champion, right? So Marius, the ultimate prize there. Ramontu's alright as well. AoE block active and block passive skills. Then he has Calamitous A2, but in a different order. Decreased defense, weaken, decreased speed, and block buffs, which is kind of cool. And then True Fear on all enemies for 1 turn if the target has 4 more debuffs after the attack. He has a pretty interesting kit here. He's really hard to get, though, because of Tag Team Arena. We're going to talk about Tag Team Arena a little bit later. And then Arbiter. Of course, Arbiter, the Arena GOAT, as usual, with this 30% turn meter fill with increased attack. Then AoE revive with turn meter fill, helping her get back to her turn meter boost. Pseudo buff strip and a A1 weaken, right? Very solid champions on these missions. I don't really think that there needs to be anything to go over there. I think the pain points of missions are just things that can be changed in other parts of the game. Daily quests. We've already know that they're going to make changes to daily quests. They have in the past year as well. You know, we now have to use our Chimera keys and whatever. There's the Win 1 Live Arena Battle daily quest, which I can't currently do right now. So they've made some revisions. We're going to get free gear removal as the reward for this one. Win 3 artifact accessories from clearing the dungeons. Does not work with auto sell on multi-battle. So quests, actually, I think quests are super good. They give you a very steady influx of resources. They're resources that you need. Every month you get a free sacred and a free void, you know, all that kind of stuff. And to anybody who says that these quests are stingy, I'm not going to disagree. But I think for what they are very good. You know, especially the dailies giving you as much energy as they do. You know, we get a lot of free energy from our daily quests, and I think that's something that you really wouldn't want to do these if they weren't giving you actually good stuff. But because of that sacred, there's always something to look forward to, always a reason to do your daily quests. The playtime rewards, would it be too much to ask if the mystery shard was an ancient shard? Other than that, I don't think there's anything wrong with it at all. I like the fact that we can save our energy. That's very good. All the rewards in general are good. I think the badges are a bit superficial, but the challenges that came before, where you had to work up to get like books and shards and all that kind of stuff, I thought those were good. It's a really good way to get new players, some resources, and all that kind of stuff. Let's move on to the market. They recently changed some stuff in the market. Is the market good now? It's good for what it is, and for what it is you rarely get a piece of good gear that you can buy and roll up, and also you can buy a bunch of mystery shards and a couple ancients for champion chase. That is what the market is used for. As far as that goes, it's very good. It's not super high value, but it also doesn't cost a lot, so there's balance there, right? Clan shop is always good. You know, we can get Lego books, basalt, energy, chicken, silver, accessories. Clan shop is always good. Use your clan gold, guys. It's very good. The token trader is awful because there's no reason anybody would ever use it, just because the champions that are cycled in are so off meta. Like, nobody's gonna want, you know, Renaya, and the exchange rate for these champions for the life tokens is not great either. So this definitely needs a rework. It would be interesting. I don't think there's any reason not to do this. If they're going to keep the cost this high, rotate every champion in the game through the token trader. That way we have a incentive to trade in our life tokens, so that when a champ we want rolls around, we can buy it. I think that's a good way to fix the token trader, or just make these guys way cheaper. It would be a good way to fill out faction guardians if it was cheaper, but because the cost is so high, I think it's just kind of like nobody goes into the token trader, right? The bazaar's okay. Speaking of which, I need to buy my stuff from the bazaar today. Let's start with that ancient shard. I'm not sure where I'm gonna put the energy yet, but let's grab the ancient shard. So the way the bazaar works is you compete in tag team arena to get gold bars, and then you trade the gold bars in for stuff, and then you can trade in for more stuff depending on your level, and everything's on a timer, right? So everything in bronze is on a 1-week timer, everything in silver, I believe, is on a 2-week timer, and everything in gold is on a 1-month timer. So you can get another sacred shard per month, right, from the bazaar, assuming you're in gold. I think it's kind of meh. I don't think it's good or bad. I mean, I think having a currency and a reason for people to compete in the tag arena is good, but I don't think this is like particularly exciting. I think the energy is the most exciting thing. You can get 300 energy every week, which is pretty cool, and you can get a void shard every 2 weeks. I think those two things are the most exciting things. And then of course the ancient shard, which we just got, is really good for early game players as well. The Altar of Souls. Mystic Market is always good. Cash in your soul coins to get your soul stones. Gotta have some sort of currency in this game. I think we're gonna save the other soul stone critiques for somewhere else in the video. Let's talk about actual places. So we did the market. Let's talk about the portal. The portal sucks. That is the consensus. Or let me correct myself. Summoning rates suck. Fusions are good, especially we have the Lady Mikage fusion. Lady Mikage is a super solid champ in both forms. Ally attacker, really help you with Fire Knight hard, really help you with arena. Lots of crowd control, lots of support effects. Very solid champion. So fusion, good. Fragment summons are also good. Now, the champions you get from fragment summons may not be good, but the value of this comes in for champion chase points, CBC points, basically using these fragments as a currency to get other resources. And I quite like that system. I think that this is pretty good. Perhaps some of these champs could use a buff, maybe, definitely. But you know what? It's really all right, because at bare minimum, they are points, right? And they are points that you kind of work passively to complete, with the exception of like Drexstar, which, you know, you need to get your arena, or your tag arena done every day so you can get your Drexstar fragment. With the exception of Drexstar, it's pretty passive to earn this, most of this stuff. You know, Embreeze you have to do, Chimera you have to do, Hydra, but generally speaking, it's pretty passive. Remnant summons, I don't understand why you can't get legendaries off of them. Other than that, it's your best chance of getting a mythical. You never have boosted rates for remnant summons. I'm not sure why it's only epic and void epic, but you know, could be worse. Could be a lot better, but could be worse. And give it a low C tier, maybe high D tier for remnant summons. And then the summoning pools, you guys know that these are some of my favorite events. I think they're really good because of summon rates, which we still have to talk about. It's really good to have a selected pool of champions that you can pull from. If you're a little bit of a spender, buy a couple prism shards to get a legendary that you really want, or at least have a better chance to. Now, that brings us to the topic of summoning rates. Now, the problem isn't so much the rates themselves as how diluted the champion pool is. And we're going to talk about three things at once. We're going to talk about the summon rates, we're going to talk about how diluted the champion pool is, and we're going to talk about how bad a lot of these legendaries are. So, like, let me put it into perspective, right? All right, let's take a solid champion. Somebody that everybody wants. Everybody wants more of Newt. All right, Newt is like the end game champion. This is the champion that is going to change my account next, assuming they don't do anything else along the same lines as Newt or Marius. Newt, Blessed Bash, enemy max HP, awesome champion. Now you have the same chance of pulling a Newt on normal, normal, no progressive chance, no 10x. You have the same chance of pulling a Newt as you have of pulling, take a Banner Lord, Lord Champfort, alright? Put that into perspective. You have the same chance of pulling Newt and Lord Champfort. Also, every single month as they add legendary champions, your chance of pulling either one of them goes down. So, because Newt is a absolutely essential top tier champion for the end game, every single month they are making it harder for players to get to the end game by adding new champions. Now, there are progressive chance events, right, where you can, target certain legendaries that you want, but the more they dilute the pool, the worse those events become. Now, I think the rates themselves, they could be better, but I get it, right? You want the rare stuff to be really rare, exciting stuff to get. The problem is when you get Lord Champfort, or, we could even say someone like Scartorsus, who's a pretty widely hated, legendary. It kind of feels bad, and it kind of feels like you're getting something not all that rare. So I think the portal needs some fixing. There are a couple options, a couple ways to fix this. One, you could just boost flat summon chances, which I don't think they'll do. But that's okay, because there are a couple other ways. Run better progressive chance events, better 10x events, or give us 2x events more often. I think those are the three ways that you can fix the portal, because I do think it needs a lot of fixing with how diluted the champion pool has become. And it doesn't feel good not to get the champions that you are hunting. Yeah, I mean, more champions are added every single month, so, Great Hall is also a mixed bag. So I like the area bonuses. I like the fact that by competing in arena, we can upgrade our stats, especially for certain areas and for our affinities. I think that's a great concept. I think live arena is probably the better executed of the two, because you get a very generous amount of medals per win. The problem is you have to spend the same number of gold medals as you would bronze or silver medals to upgrade your area bonuses, which I don't think there's any good reason why that should stay there, but it's a minor thing. You get so many of them anyway. You can see I have 1,405. I haven't even used them. I don't know where I'm putting them. I get a lot of them. I've certainly got work to do, but it's not a big deal. This is the kicker, because you only get 4 of these per win, and you have to get them all to level 10, and getting one to level 10 costs 1,000. So, and that's 1,000 on top of all the other levels. So that it's just a really, really slow grind. I don't think there's a reason why we can't have a couple more arena medals. Give us 10. Why not? Give us 10 arena medals, and I think it's good. But overall, no huge complaints about the Great Hall. The Forge is great. It's a silver mine. It's a gear mine. It's something that we all need in the game, and it gives us some pretty good sets. Specifically, lethal gear is amazing, as well as some of the Forge pass sets like Slayer. Forge is great. There's nothing to be said about that. Relics are great. Nothing really to be said about that either. It's cool how you can customize your champion or your chances of getting certain relics. I think that's cool. No, nothing to be said about the Forge. The Tavern, they've done a lot with the Tavern over the past year. I don't think there are still any pain points other than you can't really filter the way you'd like for like instant upgrade and whatever, but I think those are relatively minor things. The Guardian Ring we already went over. Faction Guardians, Empowerment, Unbinding, Token Trader. It's the Unbinding and the Token Trader that are the issue. The rest of it just takes time. Don't think there's a problem with spending time. The Altar of Souls, it's not bad. I think some of the trade-ins for the Essence could be maybe a little cheaper, but I don't think it's bad at all. I think the Iron Twins have more of a problem than the Altar of Souls and the Soulstone system does, because just make the Essence a little bit more common of a drop. The big thing about Souls is the lack of mercy. You get 8 times a chance of getting a legendary or an epic or a rare that you want, which is really low. Like, that's worse than a progressive chance. So I think the wish list definitely needs improving. I think it would be really cool if they added a mercy system, not necessarily for a specific champion, but after so many summons, your chances of receiving a wish list champion go up. I think that would be pretty cool. Blessings are game-changing effects, so there's, you know, we want to chase them, we want to be able to get them. Alright, moving on into the battle stuff. Yeah, that's everything in the Bastion, I believe. The passes are cool. We went over that. The clan, the index, yep. Alright, campaign. Campaign is good, as it's always been. Good source of silver, good source of XP, good source of farming. Dungeons. We already talked about Iron Twins a little bit. There's no good reason why we shouldn't have super raids on the potion keeps. There's no good reason why we shouldn't have super raids on Minnow. And that's the main problem with this kind of left side of the dungeons here. The right side of the dungeons, first of all, the event dungeon is way too hard this time. But the other guys, these bosses are weak. And I'm not talking about their difficulty in overcoming. I'm talking about just why would you farm dungeons? It's outside of Dragon for speed gear. Fire Knight for regen gear at this point, I think, because Lethal's taken up so much of Savage, and Spider for silver. That is what you want. You can do some niche stuff here with retaliation gear in Arena, reflex gear, curse gear, and provoke gear from Ice Golem, so I guess there's some value in Ice Golem as well. But outside of like fusions, I think there are better sets that you can acquire elsewhere in the game. Sun Devil's Necropolis and Phantom Shogun's Grove, they rebalanced this last year. I think that was good. I think, you know, making it more accessible to people is great. So no major things about that. I am kind of annoyed because my team can't clear stage 25. We can say clear all the way up to stage 25 and not stage 25 itself, but that's okay. That's a topic for another time. Faction wars, guys, hard mode is just too hard. There's no good reason why it needs to be this hard. Yeah, that's kind of it. It's just hard for the sake of it. And I think a lot of endgame players, I haven't pushed very far into it, but I think a lot of in-game players, what I've heard at least, is that it's not very fun. Arena's fine. I think they've done a lot to improve live arena, or at least try to. I think their matchmaking could use some work. I'd rather it be more skill-based than it is. We already talked about the drop rates of everything. Tag Team Arena just isn't a thing, really. It's not its own unique thing. It's just you do Classic Arena 3 times in a row, and then you get gold bars, which can help you get shards, which I don't think is very exciting. I think they should probably go in and rework this. And they said they're going to add more tiers. I'm not entirely sure how that's going to work. They're going to have to rework some of the Ramontu missions, I suppose. But yeah, I guess it could be okay if they do that. I don't think it's a big fix or anything, but it's just kind of meh. Clan bosses. Hydra needs a rework. Just put Hydra way back to the way it was. It was fun then. But Hydra just gets less and less fun the more I play it, unfortunately. Which is too bad because it is my favorite boss in the entire game. Demon Lord's fine. We do our quick battles. We get our shards. Early on, we try to get as many shards as we possibly can. And push our teams as much as we possibly can. Very early game content, which I think is totally fine. We need early game content that can be quick battled for really solid resources. Demon Lord is the best set of resources in the entire game because you can get Sacred Shards from the Ultra Nightmare. Chimera is okay. I think it's a lot more fun than I at first thought it would be, but I don't think it's anything super special. Yeah, that's just where we get our Embrees and our Relic stuff, so good stuff there. Doom Tower is always fun. Perhaps they could buff some of the champions we get, but I think Doom Tower is super fun content. Don't think there's anything that you necessarily need. Maybe they could add the souls for the champions to some of the secret rooms. Other than that, hey, I think it's really good. Curse City exists for the sake of itself being Curse City, and I don't think there's really any point. I think this is the most boring content, honestly, in Raid Shadow Legends, because it's just fight this wave using these restrictions. I don't think there's anything really there. There's the opportunity to get Supersonic and Merciless gear, which are both top tier gear sets, so it's definitely worth doing, just not for the fun. It'll just help improve your fun in other areas of the game. And then Clan Siege. Clan Siege has gotten a lot better. definitely has room to grow. I think the way, yeah, I don't think you can fix Curse City, by the way, but I think you can fix Siege a little bit. We're going to be able to remove teams, which is going to be great if you're a clan leader, just to give you a little bit more control. So, yeah, we also have to talk about events and tournaments. Events and tournaments run on the same schedule every single month without really any sort of variance. So I think there's honestly a lot they could do with events and tournaments to make them a lot more fun. But alas, I don't think they ever will. One, we could get better rewards. Two, they could cost a lot less. And three, just not necessarily the same pattern every time, I think would be much appreciated by some of us. But guys, let me know what your thoughts are. State of the game, kinda meh. Kinda meh. There's a lot of meh content in this game. There's a lot of fun strategy in this game as well, you know, when we get to champion kits and everything like that. And I think that is one thing that's really been lacking lately that just makes this game even more meh, is they haven't really come out with any super interesting kits recently, at least. And when they have, those champions haven't been very good. So I think, you know, definitely buff more people. And then when they're making champions, if they could do some play testing, figure out something that's going to be cool, that would be awesome as well. I think that's probably the way to go. But that might be why the game feels kind of down right now, honestly, because they haven't really been making fun champions. Guys, let me know your thoughts on the state of Raid Shadow Legends in the comments below. I've been Felris, sailing the seas of Raid Shadow Legends, and I'll see you in another video.